Yeah. Wow. Very nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's too bad they didn't really nail the audio on the bass, but I liked everything else.
Oh, for me, I could hear it really well.
Good. Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
but I
Yeah.
have I have a particular setup that I have a bass booster, because
Oh,
I
okay.
I can't stand not hearing the bass,
Yeah,
the bass
it
sound.
brings everything. Yeah, that was 11 by Violet Mexica on trumpet, who was my former roommate and very good friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
All of us in that are friends. Do you just want me to like talk a little bit about kind of what that was?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. So I hello everyone. I am Shyla
Oh, wait, yeah,
Murray.
let,
Yeah.
let me say hello a little bit. Hi, Glendale. So this is my guest, Shyla Murray, and I found her through Blue, what is it?
LinkedIn. I think you said LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
through Blue, what is it? The
Oh, Blue Truffle Music.
Blue Truffle Music. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I was seeing several things under Blue Truffle Music, and Shyla caught my eye. She's a young jazz musician with, people saying good things about her, and journalist as well. So I thought it would be cool to interview her. And so, yeah. Okay, now Shyla.
Yeah. So hi. My name is Shyla. I go to William Paterson University.
William
It's in North
Patterson.
Jersey. It's pretty well known for its jazz program. I'm not too sure about much else, but they say that the faculty says that it's like one of the top in the world, which being there, I believe is true. It really emphasizes like a small group structure.
Yeah.
But so that was me and a few other women in the jazz program. That was Sydney Mecca on saxophone, Violet Mexica, as I said, on trumpet, Sally Shoup on guitar, and Maria Kolesnik on drums, then myself, of course, on bass.
So
And that, Mhm.
are you all in the same grade, same level?
Not really. No one in that was a senior, but like Cindy and Maria are, well, now they're seniors, and now me and Violet are juniors, and now Sally will be a sophomore. So
So,
pretty,
which one is Sally?
the guitarist.
The guitarist.
Hmm.
All of
Yeah.
everybody is really good.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I have to say your time and feel is great.
Thank you. That's
It,
what I would hope to excel at as a bass player instead of notes. I'll probably end up talking about this, but definitely my playing kind of takes a second priority, like a backseat to my writing and being a like jazz journalist more sort of. But thank you. I appreciate that compliment because I feel like bass rhythm comes really first priority than just being able to like jump around. Yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. But
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I have known bass players in the past who have jumped around, as you say, and it's really annoying,
Hmm.
because the bass has a real job in the
Hmm.
band. I mean, and I like jumping around too, but you have to return to it's the bass. The bass is the timekeeper. It's not the
Yeah.
drums, it's really the bass. So, yeah, it's pretty important. And if you don't have a grooving bass, forget it, it's not
Yeah.
fun at all.
Yeah, it's really the instrument that you can't lack. And like, if you don't have a bass, I feel like you at least have a piano. You have that something keeping that kind of structure. And yeah, no, it's why I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like really an excuse to not go flying over all over the place with notes, but definitely I'm like still I really only picked it up in high school, so I got into the jazz program at William Paterson into my sophomore year, so I didn't immediately come in as a jazz bassist. And so when I got into the program, I did a lot of like, oh my gosh, I have to be at this level and do this thing. But then obviously, like the more I listened, the more that I realized like different bass players excel at different things. And so like what I kind of prefer is to not, I don't know, it's just like I think that a more like foundational kind of structure is at least like what I care about because again, it's like I don't put as much time into it as like say somebody that wants to be a performer and gig would definitely. But yeah, but so I just think as long as like that structure is there and like being able to keep the time and like, speak what the instrument can do and just like what you want to get out there. But I definitely don't spend too much time like trying to create all these like intense lines. So yeah, it's my
Well,
approach.
you're doing good. And
Thank
so,
you.
so you haven't really been doing it that long, and
Yeah.
you're really good. And
Thank you.
I would think somebody who was doing that had been at it for a while. And you just, did you grow up around music?
Yeah, actually, my dad, he doesn't play jazz, but he plays the guitar. I mean, he has been since he was like 10. And I always joke and say, like, I'm gonna need somebody in my life, like, close to me that can play guitar after he's gone because, like, I always hear the guitar in the house. Like, it's just like a big inspiration. And I don't have like perfect pitch, but I definitely grew up with like a musical ear. I actually was thinking about it the other day. Like, I did this summer camp on, well, I also play clarinet, and that was kind of how I started in music. And so I can explain more of that too. But so I did this like music camp when I was in like fifth grade or something. I remember, I think I like figured out Amazing Grace by ear, and then I like wrote it down. And then at like the concert at the end of the week, I was like, can I play this out loud? And then I realized the other day, I was like, oh, that was like a transcription. Like I did that like as a kid. And I didn't even like know what that word meant. So I was like, oh, I was reflecting on like music's kind of always been there. Um, but yeah, but to kind of answer your question about like the bass, like yeah, that was more of a high school thing. Technically bass guitar in middle school, but I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to go answering all your questions without you asking them, but yeah, long story with that.
It's okay. You can feel free to tell me
Yeah.
something. But yeah, so okay, so dad was a guitarist. Yeah, my dad was a sax player. And
Mhm.
so I came up all around that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
My mother had been a singer too, and my I had two older sisters who sang and one played piano, so that's how I came up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And my dad is still alive. I
Yeah.
don't know if I didn't make that clear. Okay. I wanted to say
I
that. I
think
was
it
like,
sounded
wait.
like it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't know because you said it in the past tense and I was like, "Oh wait. Let me make sure I catch that." But yeah, no, but yeah, he and it's cool because so he's a teacher, like a history teacher, and he actually went to William Paterson.
Oh,
Um and so he'll just I mean, he'll gig like at a restaurant because he can sing and play, which obviously,
oh,
the thing
cool.
I love about guitar is like if you're playing guitar, you don't ever need another person ever in your life. Like you can just sing and play wherever you want. And he does that and he'll go out gigging like restaurants like a few times a year, but like that kind of also kind of definitely gave me early on this like ability to understand that like music doesn't have to be a sole career or a sole like thing tied with money. Like it truly is something that you can always play for fun. And
Yeah.
obviously with a lot of peers of mine like doing the thing of like I'm going to be a gigging musician, it's kind of something I'm grateful to understand of like music is a precious thing and you wouldn't want to put yourself into a box of like, this is the only thing I can do, or this is my
Yeah.
only source of income kind of thing. But yeah, just I'm very grateful that he's always been that kind of figure in my life.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a good point of view to have, especially like just right now in life, you know, in time. You know, my peers are always talking about, um, you know, unless you're on the road with somebody big, or unless you are somebody big.
Yeah.
As my friend said, everybody else, you know, that the people who are big are in this little area and then everybody else is below.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard.
and you know, so if you're making money just from music, you're probably, and you're below that line, you're probably going to be a teacher too, you know,
Yeah.
and there's only so many jobs, you know, for
Yeah.
teachers. And so it is nice to be inclusive of other works. I have a really good friend who's really a great sax player, and he's a scientist. That's what he
Yeah.
does for a living. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure he loves doing both. Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, because definitely for me, like my biggest kind of inspiration and how I got into this whole like journalism thing, I just like really am motivated by the idea of like growing up, or I mean, I'm an adult now, but like I mean, graduating and like getting out into, like my like real job, which will hopefully be writing in some capacity. Like the thought of being able to like not give publicity to people like in terms of like, oh, a pat on the back and like gaining them a following, but like literally being able to be in the position of being able to write about the people that I'm in school with now is like whenever I'm just kind of like in a rut in like writing or inspiration, I just ask to like play with somebody or just like literally or like go to a gig like a friend of mine's gig that just immediately just like revamps everything. And so that's just really like I don't know, just the ultimate thing because that's the thing. It's like I want to see these people succeed and I want these people to be able to make a living off of like, you know, the talent that they have and like what they're putting their heart into. So, yeah.
That's great. It just reminds me, I haven't thought of this for a while, but let's see, about 15 years ago, I was writing for one of the jazz magazines here. And eventually, I guess she thought that I wasn't qualifying enough because I, I, I don't really like to point out, I don't want to be the writer that points out the bad stuff.
Hmm.
I just don't want to be that writer. And
Yeah,
it's not, I don't gush over stuff that doesn't happen, but I write about what's there and what's happening, and it's exciting
definitely.
to me. So I had a good time doing that. It was really fun. And then, but then when she fired me, basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
I stopped writing. But for that, you know. But
Yeah,
but yeah, it's I don't know, I don't know if you write like that or not. But yeah, I mean, I'm just I couldn't be the person who's like a critic. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely not what I would want to do.
definitely. I've thought a lot about that, like, because, well, I only started taking journalism classes in this past semester. And I think journalism, this is certainly like the stigma I always had, but it's like journalism sounds like it's tied with politics or like world news or kind of like the hard stuff. But I soon realized, especially like with my music background, that like music journalism, especially for the points that we just talked about of like getting people out there, can be just as important as like any other form of journalism. Like if it's sold or if people read it, which they do, like it's, you know, there's an audience for it. And yeah, and like so with music and critiquing, I definitely kind of realized early on that like I don't know, I'm definitely still kind of carving my path in that. I definitely don't want to just like review albums. I also find it like to describe music, especially music like jazz, can be hard. Some people are really great at it, like truly, and it's really inspiring and like just good for my vocabulary to like read album reviews of like, oh, like you use this word, but like I don't know, it's not something that I do like in my head when I'm listening. So I feel like I'm kind of more geared towards like features, you know, like really interviewing a person multiple days. Like I would love to spend like weeks of time like with somebody to like really put together a piece about them as a person, and especially because jazz musicians come from so many like different backgrounds and like you know I mean just the whole culture of jazz is built on like all this hardship. Like that would definitely be more where I gear towards of like telling a person story than like yeah as opposed to having to critique their stuff because if it's not coming from the heart then that's just kind of weird. Like that's what I like about entertainment journalism too is that you know like I personally know that I would never have like a passion for like I don't know really any other form of journalism because I just like wouldn't want to yeah it's like you kind of don't want to pick sides on some things sometimes like it's hard. But yeah I absolutely agree with like the kind
Yeah.
of having to critique people's music especially because jazz is so personal. It's not like written by 20 people. It's like actually like really self-reflective. So yeah.
I have a friend, you should check his writing out. I think you would like it. He writes for Blue Note sometimes. His name is Gary Fukushima. He's an
Okay.
he's one of my favorite pianists, and
Yeah.
we've played together a lot. And he writes very personal um, articles on people. So
Cool.
it's highlights the beautiful, wonderful things that they're doing, but also it's personal too. It's very nice. I mean, he's like that anyway. That's what kind of person he is.
Awesome. That's
And
cool.
he's an incredible pianist too.
Yeah. I think his name actually sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely check him out though, especially for his writing, because I'm really trying to find a writer that I like and want to like read everything they've ever written for just for like better inspiration because I really like to read like biographies, autobiographies and things like that, but it's different than kind of like feature writing and I haven't really found like a feature writer that I've like wanted to like latch on to and like learn everything about and how they do their thing. So, but
Are
that's
you
cool. That yeah.
are you a member of the Jazz Journalists?
I don't think I technically am. I think I get the emails or something. That's always
Right.
something that, yes, I've been repeatedly told I got to join in on that, and I will.
I've been to a meeting, and
Yeah,
it was fun. I mean, yeah, I mean, some curmudgeons and some cool people, and
yeah,
but all, a very definite community. It's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm actually like, it was really cool to see that there's just like a site for that, it's like not, because I mean, I imagine that writing for like the more, yeah, like top jazz magazines is well paid and, career and stuff, but it's cool that
Paid.
there's like a space for, yeah, right? True. But it's cool that there's like a space for, I mean, people like me that are kind of just getting started or just like to, yeah, like interview different people because obviously there's way many more gigs than there are writers to go to these every day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Have
is cool.
you done reviews for your friends' CDs?
Now, well, funnily enough, I actually would like to talk about that. People don't really record. There's a few people I can think of that have, because so it would be definitely a lot easier. And I think now it will be. So the sound engineering program at William Paterson has kind of been in like a limbo for a few years. Like it's been okay. I mean, maybe last year it was okay. I really can't even speak on that. But the students themselves are actually, I mean, I just see on Instagram, they're kind of like revamping, I guess, like the culture around it. I see like students are taking leadership positions just like for the program, not even like the club, but just like the program of like people you can talk to. So hopefully with that, there's going to be a lot more recording going on because like, especially, I mean, just like from the video that we played in the beginning, like I always say, like, if people were recording, like, that's probably the only jazz I would be listening to. Like, I mean, I'm just like, I just love like the front row seat that I have to just like my peers. I mean, again, because the William Patterson program is just so like up there. But yeah, I mean, these people are just way more talented than I think that even a lot of them realize it. And that's why I like to do what I do. But yeah, but that'd definitely be something that'd be cool. I always with my articles, the six that I've written through our campus newspaper, The Beacon, all of them, I write articles based on two things. Can I mention students in them, of course, and can I mention the word jazz in there? And then if that's what it is, then boom, I write it. And so all of my articles in some way like lift up the musicians. And so definitely like if people were to record and things, like, oh yeah, I would be all over like writing about their music. Like that'd be cool. Yeah.
Would you mind if we read a little bit of one of your articles?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Do you,
Yeah.
would you have to send it to me or can I bring it up online?
Yeah. If you just like look up Shyla Murray, The Beacon, there should be, I should go to like my kind of archive spot. And I mean, yeah, you could do whatever article piques your interest. Or I got to write, and this one I worked very lengthily on. But so my our jazz director or coordinator, Dr. David Demsey, he retired at the end of this year. And so I got to write like a feature piece about him. That'd be that top one there on the right. But yeah. Do you want me to read it out loud or maybe just
Sure, because then, people might not be able to read this long
yeah.
reading. Go
No,
ahead.
absolutely. Okay, cool. So, in a vastly different era of the William Paterson Music Department, precisely 26 years ago, Jazz Studies coordinator Dr. David Demsey said in an article for The Beacon that the best teachers are the people who don't draw a line between classical and jazz, music and life. As he retires this spring after 33 years at William Paterson, the student body and surrounding community are preparing to remember him by the very quality he described years later. You're in a job this long, and there's just the tendency to become the job. Sometimes there's no separation of identity between me and the jazz program, Demsey said. His description is no exaggeration. As jazz studies coordinator, Demsey oversees more than 80 students in the highly competitive jazz program. In addition to advising, outreach, teaching, and conducting the William Paterson Jazz Orchestra, Demsey also curates the living jazz archive housed in the Chang Library. In 2004, when trumpeter Clark Terry was giving an interview in the Shea Center, he surprised audience members, including Demsey, when he announced that he wanted his jazz keepsakes to be archived on campus. Just like that, it became Demsey's responsibility to make everything happen, which he didn't hesitate for a moment to accept. Besides writing the Jazz Studies master's degree, the formation of the increasingly sizable Living Jazz Archive is one of his most notable contributions to William Paterson University's campus. We worked for 10 years on that. I'm the luckiest guy ever, having known and interacted and taught with people at this level. Coinciding with his fondness for Terry's life-changing quest, Demsey defines his past eras as coordinator by whichever jazz studies director he was running the program with. Past directors include bassist Rufus Reed and pianist James Williams and Mulgrew Miller. Pianist Bill Charlap is the current director, taking the position in 2015. For Demsey, those are the eras because each of those people were so beautiful and so unique, and they had their own stamp on this program. Now, with his retirement approaching, colleagues and students who interact with Demsey daily have taken the time to reflect on what the Demsey era has meant to them, citing his stamp on the program. My admiration for Dr. Demsey is beyond measure. He's a master musician, a virtuoso saxophonist, a brilliant conductor, and an inspiring leader of the William Paterson Jazz Orchestra. He has been a vital force in jazz education at William Paterson University for 33 years. Dr. Demsey has always been generous with his time and counsel and treats every student and colleague with great respect. He leaves William Paterson University with a deep legacy that will always be treasured, Charlap said. As Charlap notes, Demsey is a masterful saxophonist. Like the enthusiastic students, Demsey, too, is subject to the desire to play with the jazz legends who visit the Shea Center every semester. But to Demsey, his role as an educator comes first, for he feels that a spotlight on his performing abilities would be double dipping. I'm never there as a saxophonist. I'm there as a producer, I'm there for the audience, and I'm there for the students. I'm not there to go sit in, Demsey said, but if they want me to do it, I'll do it. And students, faculty, and community members alike do want him to do it. At the Jazz Room concert on April 27th, which featured Charlap and bassist Christian McBride, Demsey walked on stage to a standing ovation and joined them for a moving rendition of Body and Soul to finish out the concert. Undoubtedly, seeing a musically talented educator is inspiring to students who are still figuring out where their love of jazz will take them. Junior performance major and saxophonist Sydney Mecca, as talked about before, greatly values seeing the musician side of Demsey and convinced him to play with her on stage last semester, too. Mecca said, Dr. Demsey is one of the greatest individuals I have ever had the pleasure to get to know. When I got accepted into William Paterson, he was the first person to call me and inform me of my acceptance. I know no other jazz coordinator who would call upon his upcoming freshmen to personally talk to them. Ever since choosing William Paterson, Dr. Demsey has done nothing but show me kindness, challenge my knowledge of music, and encourage me to grow as a musician and individual. Most of all, Dr. Demsey truly believes in me. I have never felt more supported musically than from Dr. Demsey. He has helped me navigate playing the saxophone and has gone above and beyond to educate me in times of hardship and has guided me through every decision I have made regarding my education. He is not just a coordinator of this program, but rather a dear family member. He is invested in the student body. So much so, he happily played a tune with my Boss Tenors concept group during our Common Hour performance last semester. Although I am saddened to see Dr. Demsey physically leave this program, I will always cherish the time I have spent with him during my time here and the everlasting impact he had on my education, career, and life.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great writing.
Oh, thank you. I see that's how that quote was really big. I would have normally cut that down and I was going to, but there was something like a lot of people I think were anticipating this piece. And so I was just like, you know what? Just because it's like a kind of ode to that, I just wanted to keep that full quote in there. But thank you. It was fun to like, because we had a few interviews, like Dr. Demsey and I, and just transcribing the audio of like the interviews is really fun to kind of piece together that whole kind of like arc of there being different eras of the time there. I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, I mean, he was just incredible, and he'll still be around with us like this upcoming year to kind of pass the torch a little bit. But he's really what made the program just what it was, but we're excited to kind of be in a different era. So yeah.
Well, I really like the first few paragraphs, like how you
Mhm.
started out. It brings me, the reader, you know, right in there, and you've set it up with, excuse me,
Yeah.
a quote from him, and and then you refer to it. It's really good, and then you
Yeah.
bring in, the famous people who are work there or who have been there. Yeah, it's really good. And so this is the William Pattersons. So do you do you share this on social media?
Yeah, I do. My Instagram, Shy.Lamurray.
Yeah.
I've basically just made it my kind of business. I posted pictures of myself the other day because I actually figured it would be helpful if people saw my face when they
Yeah.
went to my Instagram. But yeah, it's kind of helped me mentally like convert my Instagram into, I mean, I said business, but I just mean like my like works instead of just like pictures of me. Because it kind of like the thing about writing and like which I've like found especially like whoa, after publishing my first piece was like it is so personal and then it's just out there. But I like to tell myself when I was first writing, like I was like, oh my God, everyone's gonna read this. And the more that like humbly, not that many, not the majority of people read it. Some people like really enjoy what I write. It kind of got me in this good place of like, imagine when you're publishing that no one's gonna read it. And then so that actually helped me. Because I still hold myself to a high standard, like grammatically and like with flow and especially trying to like create kind of overarching themes, I guess, in my features. But like, yeah, so there's
Very
that.
nice. Very nice writing.
Thank you.
Um, what is William Patterson really kind of known for?
Definitely like I would say the jazz program. Besides that, it's weird. Like, so it's only like 10,000 students, like that's including like 2,000 graduates. It's a really big commuter school too. And the tuition, I mean, personally, from what I found is like, especially for like a 4-year school, like non-community college, is definitely like on the cheaper side. I mean, from what I've have looked into like any other kind of public institution like that. So our communications department, I like think from the inside is really good. I don't know how well known it is, but like for example, my like journalism professor, even like mentor at this point, Dr. Nick Hirschon is like the president of the NYC like chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists. So it's called the Deadline Club, and he's like the president of that, and he's like has gotten me all these opportunities in like meeting people, making connections. So there's like, I just honestly think of the school as like per professor and not too much like per department because we have like everything. There's definitely some departments that I know don't excel at. I won't say that publicly, but just like knowing how connected people are with their professors though, and like how caring they are is, I mean, like I think, if a person is proud of their school that they would say this, but as someone who is like really proud of at least like their faculty. There's definitely, I mean, any teacher ever will obviously always get underpaid, but like just the people that are there can absolutely advocate that like that is the best that I can imagine it, at least being a mixture of a communications and a music department person. So yeah.
Right. Great. Um, I'd like to hear more of the band. Should I just
Oh
continue
yeah.
on with that recording?
Yeah, the next song up is awesome. And I'll talk about it after it.
This is really good, especially for those of you watching who um, are struck by, you know, the concept is jazz dead, which we have a relatively new organization here called Jazz is Dead,
Mm,
and so
really?
yeah, so they've been around for a few years now, but they produce big shows. They mix and match like old school people with young school people. They bring in Brazilian like heroes like I don't know if you know these people like Javan and Milton Nascimento. I mean, these are big people, and there's crowds that go and
Okay.
attend.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
you can imagine that the name has created various emotions in people. Some people are very annoyed about it. I think it's great. Jazz is
Yeah,
dead. I mean, it's funny. It's like it's very attracting, and
it
it's
is.
opposite of what they really mean. So it's
Yeah, that's
pretty
pretty
cool.
like hip now to
Yeah.
like, because it's kind of like clickbait, but in person of like say call something something so that people get attention to it. And then if they're doing jazz, I don't see the harm in that. So that's
Yeah.
funny.
Right. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's see. So for those of you, as I said, for those of you listening to this, it's pretty exciting to have young people play really well and, some serious jazz. So I'm really I'm really digging it. It's good.
Mm. Yeah.
So here we go again. Okay. So just for those of you who might have just tuned in, this is a group from William Paterson University and various ages, everything from sophomore to senior, right?
Yeah. Now. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I
again,
love
this
that
is
song.
yeah. What song is that?
That was Storyteller by Sydney Mecca on the saxophone.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
composition.
She named it that because Bill Charlap, like our program director, was like, you're, I think it's like along the lines of like, you're really like telling a story when you play. And so she named it that because, like, I mean, she's great. They're all so great. Like, just watching that again just gave me like, oh, I'm so excited to like be in these women's lives and play music. Like, so cool.
How long have you been playing together?
Well, so I think that we had our first few rehearsals like last fall. And then so that was kind of like that wasn't paid, but like that was like a little gig like with the school. Um, we're like working on a name. Wait, like for that we cited ourselves as like the Women in Jazz Collective. But I know like Sydney, she's kind of like, as Maria said, actually like the brainchild of all of it. So I think that she's kind of trying to get in contact with like a few like, places in New York City to kind of like, just how anybody would play, just, get that off the ground and make that a thing because that's the thing, like, the women in jazz thing is kind of a double-edged sword of like, do we lean into it and it's tacky, or do we lean into it and it's awesome and we own it? And like, I've definitely just totally, totally, absolutely leaned into like it's really awesome to own. I mean, so that's 5 women in the program, and I want to say that there's maybe 5 more women. Like there's one girl on every instrument, like if that, like there's no trombonist. Obviously we're gonna have some freshmen coming in, which is awesome. Then there's like 5 like vocalists. That's always of course like common. They're all amazing too though. But yeah, so like I think like really sticking together in such like a male dominated field not only like is great for us, but just like I don't know, even like the idea of like maybe somebody watching this right now and seeing it, it's just like it just does wonders. I mean, there just needs to be so much more women representation in jazz, like a crazily more number. That's a great sentence, but yeah, that's just what I mean. Like just so much more. So it's awesome to be a part of that. Like definitely, even though like I said, like my playing kind of goes on the back burner for a group like that or getting to play with other women, that's kind of when my brain like, all right, step up, learn the song, like do this, like because it's just so important. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually going to ask about, what you think about women in jazz or women jazz players. Personally, I've always thought that um, I totally get what you mean about, is it tacky or is it cool? You
Yeah.
know, and I think it's this is a bad example, but it's kind of like hair. You know, the reason your hair looks good is because how you fix it or cut it.
Hmm.
It really doesn't matter about the color or the length or it's the cut. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. It's like it's not just because it's a woman band as a good, it's the people in it, right?
That's
And
a really good like metaphor. I like that because it makes sense.
for sure. But when I was in college, I went to Berkeley for flute.
Yeah.
And so at that time, there was a girl band. And I was very turned off by it. But it was because it was lame,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I mean, if the players had been really cool, I probably would have enjoyed it. Not that I was a great player by that time, but it was just the whole persona of it. But
Yeah.
when I see good women players, it's there's some other thing inside me that gets turned on. It's like uh, I don't know what it is. I can't describe it exactly, but it's like there's a really good drummer here, for instance, Tina Raymond. She's head of the jazz department in at Cal State Northridge, and
Right.
she's an incredible drummer. So not only is she just a great drummer, but the way that she sits, kind of like your drummer there, she sits, her posture is really good. Her body's very relaxed. And,
Mhm.
there's no kind of big showmanship. It's just, she's, it's about the music, and
Yeah.
she's great. And it's a
Awesome.
turn on to see that and hear it, um,
Yeah.
in a different way. I'm not sure why, just
Yeah.
the female energy, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think that like there's this inherent, I know like when I play, especially like with women, that like, we want to own it. I mean, some of like my favorite books have just been like autobiographies of women and just like recounting, just like going up to like a jam session and just like being thrown with the worst words you can possibly imagine before they even play. Like, so it's kind of like I feel like there's this extra element of like, I would hate for a woman to like, all right, let me just play because I want to prove myself. But like when you get up to that bandstand and like do that, especially at like a jam, and everyone knows like that I don't jam enough because of this very reason of like, oh, I'm scared. But like there's just like this kind of like, I don't know, I feel like there's a kind of inherent like this needs to be good because otherwise like then somebody's gonna immediately write us off forever as like I'm not like speaking for like every like man, but it's just I mean it's just always going to be easier for a man until there's an even number of women and men at a jam session, which I've never witnessed before. It's just like the way that it is. Like, like I'm proud of every single person, male or female, but like, yeah, it's just like I think that's probably why like there's this kind of energy and spirit to like women playing together because like I don't know, I just like it comes with like this confidence that like, unfortunately not every like woman does have like to just go out and do that. So I think that like want to own it is probably like where that really comes from. And it's so fun to be part of that.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. There's a distinct, possibly, I don't know, I've never thought of this, but um, well, for me, especially lately, and I mean, I'm already 72, so I've already been through years and
Really?
years.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you look great. I have to
Oh,
say
thank
that. I had no idea.
you.
Good for
Thanks.
you. Wow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've been singing since I was born, in a music family and playing and all, so it's been a long, long, long time that I've been going through, the necessary changes. And so more recently, I don't know how long, I don't know. I mean, it's been happening for a long time, but very kind of a little bit more intensely during this period. I'm really settling into the vibe, the energy that I want to portray in the songs and the
Awesome.
experience of the band, So when I'm doing a like a special concert, uh, I have to step up and control the band um, in a way that is tasteful and that the band will accept, and I'll still get what I want and know what I want. Um, all those things, just because I'm 72 and I've been through years and years and years of experience, it doesn't mean that I'm brilliant in that area. And I
Hmm.
think that being a woman is still, maybe under all the layers, it's there are still, let's see, how do I put it? Like um, beliefs under the layers, systems of operating that I have as a woman, you
Yeah.
know, whereas maybe a guy in the same position doesn't have those particular things.
Yeah.
He has other things. But so I always feel like I'm learning how to do that. And
Yeah.
so um, I think that's how it is for all women, because we're women and we have a
Yeah.
particular position in society, and,
Yeah.
you know,
No, definitely. Again, it's just like whether it's conscious or subconscious, like, yeah, that's just like you kind of put it. There's just like layers to like how we are. And especially like mixing again, like, it's one thing to like work kind of, I mean, any job or speak to anyone or like do anything publicly, but especially because like music is so personal, it's so you, and like you need to communicate that like with members of the band in order for it to like be executed in the way that you're envisioning. Like, yeah, there's like this kind of demand that you need to make. Whereas like I think, yeah, like I think it's okay to say like by nature, like women are just not as used to that because it's never like the position that where we were even like able to be in before like more recent decades, like again like considering like how jazz was like when it was first obviously taking off and like the lack of women. So yeah, I'm glad that that's kind of something that you're like settling into. Like that's awesome, like to even just still be picking apart like new things Like because you're never, yeah, like done learning to like be a band leader. I've never been in a position of being like a leader at all. That kind of actually frightens me. So like I think that that's awesome that that's like still, being
It's
worked at.
it's interesting. Yeah, I did a gig yesterday. Um,
Hmm.
well, and all gigs are different, right? Like
Hmm.
Saturdays, I have a steady gig, which is, thank you, God.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, a great guitar player and usually a percussionist, but sometimes I have to change them around. But it's easy. It's not like a big show. We can do anything we want, and
Yeah, cool.
so it's just fun to get everything warmed up and working and fool around. But then yesterday I did a show with a really incredible trio, and they're all really nice people and friends, good
Yeah.
friends. And so they respect me personally and musically. So, and the kind of people they are, they're willing to listen and be directed. And
Hmm.
they're very supportive, all of them. And so, yeah, and I was you know, you really have to be sharp and awake. We were getting a sound check. There was a song that I was doing kind of as a shuffle, but I didn't want a regular shuffle. That's so like, that I mean I can do
Yeah.
that. It's not my favorite style.
Yeah.
So, you know, I talked a little with the drummer, like, I want it more airy and loose, which I know he can do. And the bass player said something like, "Yeah, air fry it," or something like that, which I thought was
New
hysterical. And
term.
I just I kept using that, and then I told them, especially a piano player who's a genius, I just said, feel free to use your own taste and
Hmm.
create, and then with my own singing, um, I've learned again, I'm 72, how long does it take? But I've learned that I don't I don't really like to sing what's on the paper. I like to really utilize space a lot. When I
Hmm.
do, and then I'm in the position of really giving my point of view as a singer and an artist and a person, so I can, if I leave that space, then it gives me uh, this other space for me to express myself really
Yeah.
as myself, and
Yeah.
everything works well, and the band responds, and it's a beautiful thing. So I had a great time at that concert, and that's why all of those things,
Yeah.
there's a lot to think about. Even if you're not the leader, you still have to enter into that space, right? You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about,
Oh,
right?
definitely. Yeah. That's
How
why
do
I kind
you
of, yeah.
how
No,
do you,
yeah.
how do you yeah, because that's, I mean, I'm always teaching singers to enter that space because
Hmm.
really traditionally coming up, singers are not taught to do that. They're taught how to sing and maybe how to phrase. They're taught
Yeah.
how to sing, but not how do you, when you get on stage with people, and you mentioned jam sessions where you get nervous, how do you immediately enter that artistic space so that you can have a great time?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's why, well, I like being the bassist because the whole kind of point is to fly under the radar. And that's why, I mean, Shy isn't my name. Like, that is why I stick with the bass. I do what I do. But yeah, like, well, yeah, like that's actually taught me a lot, like, of course, because definitely like doing double duty with the bass of like, yeah, you want to play the right notes, you want to keep people like, I mean, like it's very big when like I used to kind of get in my head of like, I'm playing too many roots, but like, oh my gosh, like that's the point. And so I got out of that, like with the help of like the right people because like it's pretty crucial to like always kind of like do that, but then also just like the other side of it is like keeping the rhythm. So like definitely for me, I feel like the most important thing is obviously like listening to the drummer, but funnily enough I was going to talk about like how singing and jazz singing is it's such like its own separate beast, at least from like the outside looking in, like because in the spring semester was my first time having an ensemble like everyone has like two or three ensembles at William Paterson, small group with a professor on the staff. And I was actually lucky because in my singing ensemble, we actually had three singers and like piano, bass, drums. Like it's a unique thing. But we had the vocal professor, the only female professor on staff, Carolyn Leonhardt, who sings and like gigs and toured with Steely Dan, I think for like 20 years. But so she taught me a lot and how like just like interacting with the other singers that like every single person is obviously such a big part of when you're playing with the singer because as you said, like leaving space and like kind of matching their energy and like yeah, if they want to like keep a note going longer, like you have to pick up on that. And I think what I like to kind of practice, especially with bass, is like I guess this kind of goes in like the am I playing too many root notes thing? I definitely get way too in my own head of like, am I doing too much or too little? So for instance, if we're playing like a ballad and stuff, I used to play like a lot more notes because I just kind of like I don't know, I just kind of felt like I had to, like I kind of had to keep pushing. And then I had this one drummer that was like, it's okay, you can just like chill and like lay back, like match like what the kind of energy is happening. And then it just like kind of opened my eyes to like, yeah, like I don't know, because again, the whole point of the bass is to kind of like lay back and like do the things that people kind of don't notice. Because when there's a bad bass, you notice. So yeah. But yeah, so that actually was really interesting. Like I do find jazz singing kind of fascinating because I mean, I am not like a singer, but I mean, I think it's good for any musician to sing for fun, and I sing for fun, and especially like people like Nikki Perot, that's a bassist, Esperanza Spalding, people who like play bass and sing. Oh my gosh, if I could do that one day, oh, like it'd be all over. Like I might ditch journalism, but like you know what I mean? Like it's just how awesome it is, but I can't do that at all. Like that is just so cool to be able to do because yeah, I mean, just singing entirely is just so it's weird because again, like kind of like with the like singing thing or like women thing, like there's always of course not been it's not always I'm not to say like there's never a surplus of female singers. I can't even think if I'm saying that sentence right, but like, it's definitely more of like the common like thing as opposed to like being an instrumentalist. Um, but like that doesn't like mean that it's not important like at all. Like I wish that we even had a better space for singers. Like I know that with the program there being like a few singers and just there being like one staff person to help them like has been tough on them. And I have one friend, Kira Chaffee, who is just doing amazing, like in everything in life. She actually really like, I mean, she's just a student, but she herself like took on a lot of like responsibility for the vocal program in this past semester for a certain reason. But yeah, it's just like I think that singers can exemplify so much leadership and like in that is inspiring and like I'll try and pick up on stuff when I can of like, all right, like how to like lead but also listen, especially as a bass player. So that's awesome that like yeah, you could just kind of because do you teach like lessons at all or have
Oh
you?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
I taught in the California State University system for
Oh yeah.
about 9 years, and then I taught at what used to be MI Musicians Institute, which had a spin-off to LA College of Music, and yeah, so I've done that, and
Yeah.
then I've taught privately a lot, and had a lot of workshops, created a lot of workshops, and then
Awesome.
yeah, and I teach all over the world too. So, I travel and
Yeah.
it's part of what I do when I travel.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot to think about as a singer. I mean, singing is not an easy instrument.
Yeah.
It's actually a hard instrument
Very
to
hard.
to sound good and to, know what you're doing and, you're kind of the leader. You don't have to be really the leader, but I want to sing all the things you are. I want to sing it in 3/4. I want to sing it in A minor. Okay, I want a long intro. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you have to kind of know what you would like. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't go along with people too, but um, you know, there's a lot to think about as a singer, not to mention phrasing and
Definitely. Oh yeah.
lyrics and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Yeah, so it's really interesting. But yeah, I like to hear instrumentalists' points of view about their own instrument and singing. Um, And I always tell my singers that I'm teaching that, um, I mean, I've seen some amazing things. I had a jam session for 16 years, and
Mhm.
I would see um, the singer could be the worst singer in the world, but if they were listening to the band literally sounded better. It was kind of like magic.
Mhm.
And alternately, the singer could be great and not listening to the band, and the band would not sound great.
Yeah, it's so much of a team effort. It's insane. Like, I think that's why William Paterson's program gets a lot of like accolades because we do that small group setting. But even then, so it's, I think most ensembles are 2 days a week. One will be with a professor, kind of like guiding them, giving them new tunes. And then one's just like the students on their own. And like, even in that, I think that we could use so much more practice of like, all right, let's like this person takes the lead and says what to do, and then this person, like it is obviously at the end of the day, like you want to do like as little communication as possible, especially like when you're playing in a show and like you just want to keep it moving. But definitely like I don't know, I wish that having like jam sessions at school or like I don't know, just having like more like it's cool because like I think that the culture of our school, everyone really does have each other's back. Like I went to a gig like a few weeks ago and like a really good portion of like the program was there. It was really awesome to see, especially for the middle of the summer. But like, yeah, so much of jazz is obviously like communication and just like being able to like latch onto the ideas of other people because like, yeah, if just one person's kind of off and doing their own thing, it doesn't sync up and you can notice it. And we have these things at our school called dialogue days where there's 2 times a semester, like half of the ensembles play and then so that's like when like you just play a song on stage and then like everyone else just kind of sits in the audience. And then when you're done, they give feedback and it's awesome because like, there's a respect, like of course it's always like been this way in jazz of like telling people like, hey, like you could actually like do this better and do differently. And so when my group performed with like the 3 singer ensemble that I mentioned earlier, yeah, we got a little bit kind of just like off like not even like we got lost but just something kind of shifted and I remember for myself like i want to say I want to say like maybe like a singer got off or something and then I kind of just tried to keep it going and yes that's what it was. I tried to keep it going instead of like going back like with the singer and it fixed itself after like a half chorus where like if I had like gotten in the zone I could have fixed it in like a measure and then so somebody was like hey like you did do this but this happens with singers, blah blah blah. So like it really like kind of taught me a lot of like yeah, like again, like performing with the singer just so different than just like an like a different typical like instrumentalist. But again, like you are an instrumentalist and yeah, like I will die on that hill as any good jazz person should. So yeah, but that's yeah,
That's
taught me a
cool.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's great to have a safe place for that kind of thing to happen, you know. It's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I mean that happens, in various ways. I remember I had a boyfriend from Texas. He was a sax player, and he said when he was young and went to sit in to jam, and he would call like a song, whatever, in F, they'd play it in F sharp, just to fuck with him.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it taught him some stuff, but still is not great.
Yeah. I've heard different things, yeah, about like different schools because I always assume because that's the thing, like I mean, jazz was just built on how social it is, and like I always assumed that every program would be like really like kind of all there for each other. But yeah, I've just heard different things about different programs, and it just makes me like a lot happier to be at William Paterson and like more grateful because like again, it's like that community of respect
Yeah.
like obviously, I mean, every place has their problems. There's definitely people that I wish had like more respect because they deserve it. But like, yeah, just like being able to point out, you know, like we'll call it flaws in musicianship because it's like for the better of them, and like because you want to see them succeed. Just like such a good environment to be in. And like, yeah, whereas like, yeah, what your boyfriend or fast like boyfriend experience, like that's kind of weird. Like, I guess it's like, when does that really help? Like, because that wouldn't happen like at like in a professional setting or like yeah unless it was like wait like now like so yeah so
Yeah, it was just very, very odd. Maybe that's he had kind of an odd way of leading a band. He would like
Mhm.
yell at people, and I was always saying, Harold, you can't treat people like that. They're not going to
Yeah.
play it for you nice, you know? But
Yeah.
so maybe that was where that came from, you know?
Yeah, maybe. You got to be
Yeah.
nice these days. That's what is cool because, like so much of the culture was like everyone was just a great instrumentalist and like mean. But like, I mean, you can ask like any person, any professor, William Paterson, it's like, yeah, a lot of success these days is tied to just being
Yeah.
a good person. And like, I kind of had that realization. Like, again, as I mentioned, I went to a gig a few weeks ago and so many people like from our program was there. And like, I just said to my friend, I was just like, it's awesome that not only everyone up there is a great player, but like, a great friend, like just like great people. And yeah, so yeah, that is a big part of it.
That's
It's
great.
like, yeah.
Boy, I can kind of see the writing on the wall, you know, of your future, all of you. You know, you're gonna, I mean, I know a lot of people who went to school together who, yeah, they became great friends and great playing
Mm,
buddies because of going to school together and just having that whole experience, you know.
yeah.
Um, what do you see the future like for all you guys?
Yeah. Well, it's cool because though I live in South Jersey, like I'm at home right now. And then like school is like a little bit like an hour 45 away from me and it's in Wayne. And so it's kind of it's like 45-minute drive into the city, or like if you drive to somewhere else 20 minutes, then you take the PATH train and it's like, very close. And so I was always kind of like, oh, I'm not gonna move up here. Like there's no point. But now like a lot of like my friends have started to move into the city or into like Jersey City, just like a place that's like just close to get in there. And now that's like for myself, I absolutely see myself doing that, especially because like committing to that kind of like the New York City scene. So like I think that that's honestly like what's really I gotta say, like I think that's best for everyone. Like I have a friend from like Alaska and like we'll talk about this, but like there's a really just big benefit to even studying near the like New York City scene. And I'm sure like Los Angeles, I imagine that must be a pretty good scene there. I mean, it's a city.
Yeah.
But yeah, because obviously it's like, oh, like there's good like schools in this state, but if they're not really near a city, it's like you're setting yourself up to get into a scene or like no scene like upon graduation. So what I am hopeful about like for everybody is because like everyone's already gigging and already like in the North Jersey, New York City area. I think that's a really good start, like better off than they would be like, all right, I'm graduating out of, I don't know, just any state that doesn't have like a big city and like starting out like what else? So yeah, so I really do see for everyone, like, as long as they put in that like effort, I think that everyone is really set up for a great way to be successful. I definitely think that, and I just think about this so much because I don't know, like for myself, like I just feel like this pressure that I put on myself to like, all right, like I need to start doing something now while I'm in school still. So like for instance, how like my Instagram is just like my articles and like how I'm just trying to do all these different things. Like I just really believe in like while you're still a student, start doing the thing you want to do. And with being musicians, everyone's doing like a pretty great job. Like it's really inspiring. And especially because like now I'm going to be a junior, I am starting to see like the upperclassmen that I was like friends with, like going out and like gigging enough to make a living. And it's cool because it's like they're all still right there. So it's like you can still see them. Um, but yeah, but just so much of it obviously comes with that self-confidence to like, all right, this is what you studied and this is the life you're jumping into. So you got to do it. And I don't know, like when I just talk with my friends, like I just try and be as like, I guess just like sympathetic obviously as I can, but also just kind of like give a little bit of push, like this is what you're doing. And I don't know, I technically changed my major 8 times. So like, or kept it. Like like different forms of being a music major and different forms of being a communications major. So I'm really like built off of like, if you're not liking exactly what you're doing, switch it to something else, especially while you're still a student. But I think that everyone is on a pretty great track to like be successful, and it's so cool to see.
Well, speaking of that, how do you, well, um, do you ever contemplate how the music business will look in another 10 years when you're out in it? Uh, do you think about um, recordings? and talking about business particularly, like
Yeah.
um, my friends and I, I mean, we talk about CD recording forever. Do we? I mean, of course we want to document the moment, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing about recording. But do we want to spend thousands of dollars in the studio and then thousands of dollars to send it out to journalists
Yeah.
and radio, and then promote it big, and then in 3 weeks everyone's moving on and forgetting it. Nobody
Yeah.
buys the CDs. I mean, most of the CDs I sell in Japan.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, although I did sell two CDs yesterday. Amazing.
Nice.
But
I
yeah,
love CDs, so
two.
yeah. Yeah.
But so do you think about, you know, the business basically, how it's
Yeah.
how it's going to look, what how it's going, what are you going to do with about that, or are you going to do
Yeah.
anything about it? Do you think
You
about that
know,
stuff?
I really do. Like, so our school offers like music and entertainment industries, which is kind of just a long-winded way to say music business. And when I was kind of like switching my major, what it specifically was, then I kind of like chairperson was like, "Oh, so what you want to do is music." Oh yeah, because I was public relations for a little bit before I just switched to like doing journalism classes. It's not even technically my major. It's a minor, but yeah. But she was like, "Oh, so you want to do music business?" And I was like, "No, I want to do music and public relations, but not music public relations because like yeah, I have a lot of friends that are in the kind of like music business realm, and I think that our program is like pretty good. Again, I can't really like speak on it too much, but I know a few of the professors in it, and it sounds like they're getting really good setups, and like I know like with internships, it's like really good for that. But I think it is so, at least from like the little that I know, does seem really unpredictable. Like for instance, some people say like, oh, like jazz is coming back right now. Like young people really like jazz. And I'm like, I do see that. Because it's obviously always kind of this like nice like oriented around like going out into the city and spending like a good amount of time. Like, yeah. But it's also like, no, I think like live jazz has always been in a pretty good spot, and I think it continues to be in a good spot, like especially like because more clubs are opening and stuff, it seems like. But yeah, like but with recording, it is interesting because that's the thing. It's like, well, I can know like I can name the number of people on my like or I can count on my hand the number of people that like I know recorded stuff. Even less if you're considering it like jazz specific stuff, like out of I mean like the student body.
Yeah.
And so it is weird. I don't know, like because I think that jazz is something that's just so consumed best live, whereas like if you're listening, I mean obviously like yeah, if you're listening to it, absolutely, but this is kind of something that I need to be better at myself is like listening to more people who are actively playing in the scene because like for me, I mean, I kind of like the more like 50s jazz and like I don't know. I'm not really too big into like fusion and anything like past that. I don't know. I'm like trying to get into like that sort of sound of like I don't know, it not swinging, but I just like love stuff that swings. And so like I think that if you're going to be doing any music like in like the line of jazz, it's just going to be better live because it's just like I don't know, it's new, it's fresher that way. And so like the music that I want to listen to already exists, but it's like, yeah, I don't really know how many people like are relying on like because people that I know that are really like good at like knowing who's around and who's playing in New York City, just go see them. I mean, I'm sure that everyone like listens to them. Like I will always just not be a good enough like listener. Like I just can always be listening more, and so can every jazz person, but still, like I know for myself, like I need to listen to more people that are alive. But yeah, it's just like yeah, I don't know. It is weird because I definitely think that people do like, especially like peers, and it's different, I guess, because I'm not like speaking to people that are like 10 years out of being in college. I'm speaking more to people that are like 1 year out or 2 years out or still in college, but it's like they definitely just kind of seem to like prioritize like, hey, like I have a gig this night and like getting this gig and that gig, whereas like yeah, I don't often see like many things about recording. So that actually is a really good question of like I don't know. I wonder if there's some expert out there that can like see the kind of trends of like jazz and streaming. But I mean, I've just been told that it's probably like the least listened to genre out there of like the big like genres that you can think of. So yeah, very good kind of topic. Maybe I'll write an article
Well,
about that.
they've always said jazz is the least,
Yeah.
always. Um, and I mean, personally, over the years, I mean, like when I was in my early 20s, I had a friend who stopped singing because she was bummed out by the club owners, the obnoxious club owners. And
Oh yeah.
I just thought, well, screw that. I'm not going to stop singing,
Yeah.
because there's bad club owners. And I feel the same way about, basically about selling records. It's like, well, doesn't really matter. I'm not going to stop,
Yeah.
because I'm doing it for other reasons. I mean, it's definitely a good thing to make money from, the things that we're putting in lots and lots of time on, in years. But so that's good. But um, yeah, so you mentioned something else I wanted to relate to, but um, well, these kind of questions, I guess I was going to mention that something lately that I've been thinking about is that not only me, but a lot of people in our position of being performers, jazz performers, are tired of like what I was just describing as far as spending thousands of dollars, and putting everything out. And we're tired of that rule book. It's like, okay, here's the box, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
And we're tired of that. You know, we want to make something new. I don't want to
Yeah.
be in that box. I want to do something fresh, something new. And I think right now, I'm very philosophical. So I think right now, the time of life right now is definitely has moved into more philosophy and spirituality. And I think that um, the creativity of how we live. I mean, really starting with the pandemic, people freaked out, people lost their jobs, people, and
Yeah.
they started looking at their life going, well, I'm not so sure I want to do this,
Yeah.
So they started being creative, and that was right around the time actually when in philosophy and spirituality it said that the age was changing out of the technological age.
Hmm.
It was actually moving into the spiritual age,
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
So I kind of see that, but I don't see it as clearly as I see this glass in front of me.
Yeah.
I see it kind of in a distance, but I see the the community point of view looking in that direction
Hmm.
and wanting to do other things.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I have like a few friends that really think like, I mean, I don't even know if you were talking about just like if you meant like just people in general are kind of like in that more, yeah, I feel like creative kind of state. But people are like, I mean, I've just like heard like people think that jazz is actually in like a really like transitional or kind of even just like more like there was a better word for it, but like creative state right now, like kind of like doing new things, like innovation, which is cool because like jazz has always obviously thrived off of that. So like again, like I need to be better at like listening to like what's new. But just like hearing that, and I do like see that. Like, I mean, there's different ways that like different clubs are kind of like pushing out advertising, and it's like really neat to see because I don't know, that's the thing. It's like jazz is obviously tricky because there's a part of it that's like this kind of like, oh, it's the musician's music, and then like, this kind of like shut out of like, well, you need to be knowledgeable about it to like actually understand it and like it. But I feel like I'm seeing less of that. I feel like people understand a little bit better than like, I don't know. I mean, I'm 20. I don't have like the actual like lived experience of like seeing the kind of like culture of it beforehand, but I do think that it's more inviting, probably now. I just think that like, because as you kind of said, like this kind of creativity that comes with it, I just think it's kind of more known for that. Or I just like feel like it's starting to be like more invited, like inviting, I guess, than just like you don't know what jazz is, so. don't even talk about it because like my like county, Camden County, does like free jazz concerts throughout the summer, and it's like really cool. Like last summer, their first one was Esperanza Spalding, which is and it was free. Like it was crazy that they did that,
Oh,
but that's
yeah.
just the thing. Like it's just like I think it will, if it heads in the direction of like being more inviting to people, because again, like it just think it's so better enjoyed live, and people like to see live music. Especially like there's a lot of actually like nonprofits in New Jersey. And I'm trying to like get in contact and write about more of them, but I've written about like one or two of them. But like that has kind of their whole purpose is to like just give like more opportunities for people to see live music because like that's just really I think like where the connection is going to happen because like my mom has definitely I mean for instance somebody who didn't listen to jazz and because I do and I am like a jazz musician like she's kind of gotten into it a little bit and but she'll just like play it on the radio but not really go out and see it like I think that that's just more of the kind of like avenue into not even just like popularity but just like where I think it'd be best headed if it was just more about like come see this music live instead of kind of like, hey, like let's just listen to it on our phone because it's gonna be always like such a massively different experience. Because obviously, like you can take a genre like pop, like why is it so popular? Probably because it's all like really usually electronically made and like not as many people are gonna like see that in concert, like, you know, in comparison to the number of people listening. But like I would say that like nine times out of 10 people are going to go and listen to the person that they like. I mean, jazz wise, than just like sit there and like only ever listen to them on their phone. I feel like it's kind of like, at least from what I know, it's like, hey, like I've seen this person live, so then I start listening to them. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's kind of like the interesting thing. And I think that you've kind of nailed it on the head of like it's going in this more of like creative kind of like I don't know, atmosphere than just this like and like the philosophical
So,
thing than just like shut
okay.
out.
So let me ask you, as a
Yeah.
young person, you're 20. So, uh, and I see that. I see a lot of young people being interested in jazz. That organization I was telling you about, Jazz is Dead, a lot of young people are going.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is the live experience and what about the live experience? Like you said about something. I mean, you're probably different because, you're already a jazz musician and a jazz
Yeah.
journalist. But when you look at others, younger people who are interested and come out, why do you think they come out? Is there this is kind of a marketing question, really. What what would you say to a person to excite them enough to come out? I've been actually thinking about which I literally a few days ago I gathered some friends because I this is a very very new idea for me. So I'm thinking of a an experience. It's not just, oh, I'm going to go listen to jazz. There's an experience, which there's going to be people doing that. But this is an experience. It's almost like a play. There's a
Yeah.
theme, and then there's different arts like involved, art, photography, short movies, dance, um, poetry, so there's different things involved, and also audience participation, a specific,
Hmm.
like leading the audience and not forcing them. You don't have to stand up and embarrass yourself. It's something very uh, easy, but it does involve you. So I've been
Yeah.
thinking about that experience, and every month doing it and having different collaborators. So it's always fresh and always interesting and creative.
Yeah.
But so, um, so what do you think young people you know, would be interested if they're looking at a jazz promotion? What would catch their eye? Would it be that it's a live experience? Would it be the kind of music? Would it be creative, free? I mean, I think young people, just in general want to be creative and free, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, that's appealing. But why? I mean, why? I often think about this
Yeah.
and wonder, especially at concerts where a lot of young people are,
Yeah.
why did you come? you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. That is like a good question. And I feel like it's hard for me to like really know because for me, like I can't even really, I feel like whenever I end up at a gig, it's because somebody I know is there or it's a group of us and we want to go jam. So it's like, all right, like let's all go. But I know that like, especially because I mean, I don't play much when I do go out. Like for me though, like seeing other, like not even just young people, but I just like love when I see everybody go up there and they get involved. And so like I feel like if I were to like look from like the outside in and not actually play the instrument. I feel like the fact that jazz is just like it's always moving. Like I just it's not like, I feel like even when it's like a set, it's not ever kind of like all right, like, like rearranging stuff. It's just kind of like I feel like it just keeps going. And I feel like that entertainment value just sticks. But like I just also think that the fact that every single person is always involved kind of like to like the same degree. Like, of course, I feel like it's always going to be the horns, like playing the actual melody and then going into the solos. But like, even then, just like every person getting a solo or a taste, or if it like kind of like the vibe switches, like just being able to see that every person up there actually matters. And like, again, like I just like am just thinking about compared to like a concert when you see like, you see an artist, an individual artist, but obviously any like concert like that, it's not just the name of the artist up there, it's the nine other people in the band. And I see like a lot of times like articles that like go crazy, like I think I saw an article the other day that was like someone's guitarist paid for like something for like the whole band. And I don't know, and just open up the discussion of like, oh yeah, like the instrumentalists that like whose names you don't know, but like do like create the concert experience. I think what's cool about jazz is like that's the thing. It's like because even like with like the top people in jazz, you can still say like someone's name like and the average person I feel like would still be like, who is that? But it's like it's not so much about the celebrity of the music. It's literally like the music itself is just like what you're there for. And so I feel like maybe people kind of like obviously because jazz is so much like in clubs and things like that. I feel like it's cool because young people probably like it because they can go and like no, it's not about like, all right, I need to look at this person. It literally is like, as you said, about the atmosphere, like about the kind of like just like the vibe that it creates. So it's cool. It's like, obviously, you never want to talk over somebody's solo, but it's like I think that jazz musicians inherently like that's fine. Like because it's just like, if you're bringing it to a group of people, it's just like more about like the atmosphere that it provides because again, like if something was bad and if somebody's saying like a bad solo, it catch like the attention of the people in the room, which is like not what you want. So I feel like the fact that you can advertise jazz is kind of like it's an atmosphere. It's like for fun. It's like for listening, but it's also for just being able to go and talk to people and enjoy. Because again, like even like, you're always going to talk to people like over music and like in concerts and stuff too, like big ones. But like, just like the ability to know that like it's still in a respectful thing, like a still respectful manner because you might be like, oh, like that person's really cool, or just like talking about whatever. Like, I think that is so valuable and is probably like what people like about it is like that invitation to like be yourself because everyone on the stage is being themselves and is so important to the whole function of the music. So it's pretty neat. That is a good question. I want to think about that more now. And maybe ask people. That's the thing. Like that make a really cool article of like going to a jam session or something and like asking the people that, aren't standing up there waiting to go into the jam, like, why are you here? So thank you, because that
I
actually
like
sounds like
that
really
too.
fun.
I like
Yeah.
that too. I actually wrote it down.
Oh
survey
yeah.
survey the young
There you go.
audience, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, just walk around, talk to people and ask them, why did you come to this concert? Or what do you like about it? Or both of those questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have in LA there's a good size a good size um, creative music uh, community being somewhat avant-garde, um, but it's uh, you know they don't call it avant-garde here, uh, which is uh, I mean, and I've talked to players who play the music about that, old players who have played it for a long time, and it's funny, avant-garde might be an old use of the idea of the genre, but what they call it here is creative music. and it's improvised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the players are really good. They're experienced at it, which I've had discussions about that too, because it intrigues me. I mean, I improvise in the songs, and I also like I had a group for 8 years of six vocalists, only vocalists, just improvising.
Yeah.
And
Wow,
so I'm
cool.
experienced with that. Um, and there's, I mean, even, let's just take that for instance. We're called fish to birds. So, so basically, what that idea is, there's a metamorphosis. There's an
Yeah.
artist. He makes fish, and then at some point you see the fish change into birds.
Okay.
I forget his
Cool.
name. Yeah, he's a famous artist for
Oh, neat.
that kind of stuff. Anyway, so it's not that we have rules, but we have things just like a band would have. We have actions that work well. For instance, somebody is creates a groove, and then somebody either starts harmonizing with it, or creates another groove that kind of fits into it, but it's different. And then there might be a soloist that pops out, or somebody. Um, it's kind of like the old acting thing, yes, and right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that works better. Like if you get people who aren't used to doing it, they don't quite know what to do. They don't know how to go about it. So,
Hmm.
and actually, there's a big movement right now worldwide. People call it circle singing because, like Bobby McFerrin, like he'll get somebody to start and do something particular, and to keep doing it, and then
Yeah.
he'll create an idea for this bunch of people, and they're
Yeah.
so it's like building a piece, which is great. But I actually really like how my group does it because nobody's directing exactly. I mean, sometimes we'll, you know, you know, uh, indicate to drop out, for
Yeah.
like a space, but I mean, there's nobody giving you ideas. It's
I'll have to
you.
look that up. Like that sounds like completely new and like interesting of like I don't know. Yeah, like just without a leader and especially because it's like six vocalists, it's not even like oh three and then like drums and they know what to do. Like but that's really cool.
It's fun.
Nice.
And so
Yeah.
these creative artists, these creative, they're basically creating out of nothing.
Hmm.
And they have the same kind of thing that I just described. And I've talked to them about it because, I was curious to know, so is it that you get good at allowing and understanding what works? Like if you go off and do something, should you repeat something? How do you think, or what observations work? And
Yeah.
are there better people and worser people? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I've had some really interesting discussions. But there's
Sure.
also there's a big festival here that's been going on for 19 years called the Angel City Jazz Festival, which is creative music, and
Cool.
it's like a few different nights, and it's produced by a man named Rocco Samazi, who has done stuff like this forever. And when I was in my, let's see, I don't know, 30s and 40s. He had a place here called Rocco's that was the only place that modern jazz was playing at the time.
Neat.
So this was a while ago, right? It was like 30
Yeah.
years ago. So, and anyway, he's the producer of this festival. And this year I contacted him because, I mean, um, I've volunteered to help him, at the shows and stuff. But I wanted to help promote it because
Mhm.
even though he has his crowd, I just don't feel like enough people actually know it's happening and when.
Yeah. That's how
You
I feel about everything like involving jazz or just even like any live shows. Like how I mentioned like my county like puts together live music. Like
know,
I don't see it advertised anywhere besides like the flyer we get from going to one. Like, yeah, I just feel like that really speaks to this. Like, there's like a weird, I feel like, discrepancy between music business or like music, even like, yeah, journalism and doing like things like like or just being like a player because like yes I know like a lot of people don't care about that aspect and a lot of people are good at like if they have a gig they'll post about it, people show up, etc.
Yeah.
But like I think that we could be so much more hand in hand like because obviously I feel like with music business the term business you're gonna like think like oh money and a lot of people in jazz because it's more of an art than like I feel like an immediate I mean you know it takes so much like and I'm not like putting down like any other genre of music of course but like I like I don't know. I've never talked to like a peer of mine and like they talk about money like out of their mouth with their music. It's all about like the music itself. So like especially like me like with my kind of role as like the jazz journalist like thing or just music journalist in general is like I want to kind of like you know erase that kind of like fog of oh well you only care about you know giving me or like I mean not that anybody would complain about like getting them money but it's just like I just think there needs to just be a better communication of like, hey, like I want you to be known as a creative individual first and foremost than just like a face that makes money. Like probably just as much as you don't want that. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that's good that like you're trying to like volunteer and help with that and like do that because that's like the same way I feel of like I want to just do what I can to like promote people's gigs so that people go to them and people spend more money at the bar and they get more money and they're invited back and they get more gigs and they can make a better livelihood. Like, you know, it's just also connected and it's like while that like yes, some people do a really good job of promoting themselves, there should just be so much more of like joining together of just trying to I don't know, just like put themselves better off. And I don't know if there's like a weird stigma against like wanting to get big in jazz because again, like as I said, there's not even like even like the top most famous people that you can think of are not even really like famous like on like a world scale, and it should never be about that. And I entirely agree with that. But like there could just be so much more like you're an artist and you're doing the thing, and if you want to continue to be able to do this thing, it does have to come like with this element of caring about the like publicity factor. That doesn't have to mean like, okay, you have a manager and like you sell your soul doing all like this music industry stuff, but just like, yeah, like ask for some help or like allow me to help you of like talking about this. Like, I don't know, like I would love to get to a point of like, I mean, I just launched my website, ShylaMurray.com, but I would love to like, I don't know, just like literally write about like one-off gigs just because like just to have like an archive of it online and then if people Google your name they see that and all this stuff like I don't know because like the internet is such a friend to trying to be an artist and stuff and I think it's like kind of awesome and cool when like people use social media to like get big like I would hope that that's always like you know because some people obviously do that and just like to gain attention or whatever but like when people like get a good following like musicians and stuff because of social media. I'm like, that is the coolest thing. Like that is awesome that we live in an era of like you can be sitting on your phone and be introduced to somebody new and like not have to see them live. And I just feel like with jazz, there should just be so much more of like taking advantage of that. And I don't know if there's like a weird stigma that like, oh, like that wouldn't be cool because obviously I think jazz is also for better and worse kind of stuck in this kind of like in the older era that it's in, that it exists in, but like I don't know. I just think that people could really take more advantage of the like the space of the internet and like taking advantage of free publicity. Like
Yeah.
again, it doesn't even have to be like I have a manager now and stuff. It can just be so much simpler. So yeah.
Yeah, well that's a lot. And I agree with all of that. And I think from my experience, well, from where I sit, there's a
Mhm.
lot of different things that I can contribute to on the internet. And, you know, it takes time. That's my biggest complaint about it. I actually enjoy it, but it just takes time. And I don't
Yeah.
enjoy that part. I wouldn't mind sometime, but it just seems, it's kind of like, a big gaping hole, more.
Yeah.
Um, so for this guy Rocco, I actually created a survey that I have sent around to some people, and you know what? It's a short survey, and I'm actually sending it to friends, and barely anyone filled it out,
Hmm.
which really just kind of put me off. It's like, really? I'm your friend,
Yeah.
and I'm asking you to fill out this short survey. Could you?
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, the survey kind of covers a bunch of different things, but definitely it brings in the idea of creative music because I wanted it for Rocco's, and I thought, well, I'll just start like a grassroots thing. I mean,
Mm.
not that I have big, huge hopes for a survey changing the world, but I thought, yeah, I should actually send this out to people and get people to respond.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one thing. Um, and there are, like I said, there are a lot of online avenues to promote. But I also wanted to show people your website, which of course, you know, a
Yes.
website is great, but like we're speaking, um, you have to let people know you have a website.
Yeah. Like I, yeah, I published it at 2 o'clock, or well, my 2 o'clock. So
Well,
yeah,
I'm sure
like,
I'm sure, you'll see some different things that you'll want
yeah,
over the time. But it's great to have a website. I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed have no website. They have not
yeah,
even like a word page, like seriously. Really?
yeah,
You're a good professional musician and you have nothing? It's just
yeah,
I have to find you through whatever. So
yeah.
I commend you for doing this.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit about this. Shyla did it on Squarespace, which is I use
Yeah.
Squarespace, and and this is really nice. Cute picture. Oh, look at that. That's a
Thanks.
really nice. Um, cool. So you have
Yeah.
that and published. That's great.
Yeah. Just my
Wonderful.
articles and like little, I don't know, tags of like if you're interested in these kind of things is what I was trying to do with the arrows. So,
Yeah, yeah, this is great. And
mm. So it's kind of like some things. Well, SM are obviously my initials, and then so
why
like,
am I here?
yeah. I just have the one blog post, but yeah, I feel like that's like a part. I don't know, because like for me, obviously that's somebody more journalism oriented. I feel like having a website is like very like crucial because it's like, okay, if I'm XYZ editor working at DownBeat, Shyla Murray, blah blah blah. Okay, here's her website where I can see all her pieces in one place. Like, but I agree, even for like people that are just instrumentalists, like having a portfolio is so crucial because if I'm XYZ club owner, I want to see where you've played before. I want to see who you've played with. I want to see how long you've been playing. I want to see where you went to school. Just all these things that like I think are really important. And like Instagram is good and gets you
Yeah,
so far, but I know like some people are really good at juggling both like Instagram and Facebook. I myself always forget to post things on Facebook that I'm doing. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop, I feel like is also really crucial and would help a lot of musicians. But
yeah.
I'm
Um,
2 days old as a website creator, but
it's
yeah, it's just
great.
something I was told a long
No,
time
no, this is
ago.
great. One, you can look at other websites obviously and see what people do. One thing, see, there's three things up at the top, and so
Yeah.
put a home tab, so that people can
Okay.
go back to your home page.
Yeah, because like the icon, like the little like SM that's a treble and bass
That's
clef,
home.
yeah, it does that. But I was also thinking about maybe it's like maybe it's not, it doesn't say that. So it was
Yeah,
something
I
I was
mean
thinking
it's
about.
great to have a logo, and of course you don't forget the music tab.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna put like the maybe the Brave-a-thon clip in there. It's unfortunate because that video that you pulled up is 9 hours long because they didn't snip out our group going, but they did for everyone else's. So I might, I don't know, have to get somebody to do that so it's easier to link. But yeah, no, definitely more playing will be up there. Thank you for that encouragement.
But I mean, actually, you did a great job for like, just finishing it up last
Yeah,
night,
thank you. Thank you.
you
I appreciate the shout
know?
out to it.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna listen to one more song,
Yeah.
We have time, I think, to listen to one more song and then say our goodbyes. But yeah.
Yeah,
So
that should start around like 1:15, I think would be good.
now this is
Because
20.
yeah, so it ends after that, but because we didn't listen to the first song, so you can go to that, and that should be like yeah, like around like the 1:15 mark.
This is at the 23:49 mark. So I'm not
Yes.
sure what you mean by 1:15.
So because so we played like the second song, the third song in the set, but not the first song. So like if you
Are you
go
talking
to
about 1 hour and 50
no,
minutes?
just like 1 minute in and 15 seconds.
Oh, you want me to go back?
Yeah, because like we didn't see the first song, so that
Oh,
way it's
okay.
something
Okay.
new. Or yeah, that's perfect.
All
Yeah.
right.
I guess we were the first group up, so there was a little bit like discrepancy of starting, but there we go.
How many songs did you play in this set?
Three, all originals.
Oh, okay.
This will be Birching Magnolia by Sydney, again on sax.
Okay.
Nice. And again, that
Great.
was Birch and Magnolia by Sydney on sax.
Very, very nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
very nice.
so fun.
Well, hi Terry, Terry Bond. Nice to hear from a journalist and a musician.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being on.
Thank
I,
you for
I
reaching out and having me. It's so awesome and cool.
I enjoyed talking with you a lot and hearing your
Yeah.
music. And yeah, I hope we stay in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We'll keep hanging. Thanks so much. I mean, you've got a fan now of the interview series because this is really cool. So keep at it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay. Have a great night and
You
thank
too.
thank you again. Bye everybody.
Bye. We'll talk soon. Thanks.